It's presently the Southern Hemisphere summer of 2021-2022. At present, the Southern Oscillation Index, so the state of the Pacific Ocean, is in a La Nina phase. So what that means for here in Eastern Australia is we tend to get humid onshore winds and therefore much greater rainfall than when the Pacific Ocean is neutral or in an El Nino phase. This rainfall's been very welcome after years of drought and fires, and one of the things that has been really interesting is just observing the way that the plants have responded, just with absolutely prolific fruiting. So this here is one of many kinds of wattle or acacia that are found here around Canberra, and at the moment all of these have ripened seeds. So within the seed pod you can see the small black seed. So what we're going to try and do is just opportunistically help to spread some of these ripe seeds to areas that are prime candidates for revegetation. I know there's people out there who are doing amazing work at using drones for revegetation. We're not going to do anything particularly high tech. There won't be seed balls mixed with fertiliser and dirt and what have you, but nonetheless we'll take advantage of the expectation of continued higher rainfall just to try and activate and then distribute some seeds. Let's see how it goes. We've collected a few kilograms of seed from 3 or 4 local wattle species, making sure to choose a number of different individuals for the genetic diversity. Now we've given this an extra few days to dry so that the seed pods become very brittle and the individual seeds are ready to come loose. So I'm just going to agitate this a little bit to separate the seeds, and then I'll use a sieve so I can separate the actual seeds from the seed pods. Well, the gold penning sieve might not have been the perfect way of discriminating between the seeds and the chaff, but nonetheless it's done a reasonable job. You can see that what we're left with here now is a pretty high fraction of wattle seed, so that's going to do. That's going to do for what we need. So I'm just interested for completeness to see just what mass of seeds we've got here. So I've just zeroed the scales and we'll add in the collection of seed, and so that comes to 634 grams. So acacias are a very old species which date back to before the breakup of Gondwana land. Now one of the things with these particular Australian wattles is the seeds will normally lay dormant in the soil for many years until either there's a bushfire or possibly soaking rain or some kind of mechanical scarification which triggers the seed to germinate. So normally when you're propagating these, you either mechanically scarify the seeds, mechanically kind of rough the seeds up with a bit of sandpaper or something to allow water ingress to activate the germination of the seed, or one of the other things, and what I'm going to do is to use boiling water. So soak the seeds for several hours at least in boiling water, and this will then soften the outer husk and allow the water inside the seed to initiate the germination process. The reason I'm doing this now is in the next few days there's some good rain forecast, so I'm going to try and get the seeds sort of activated and then deliver them with the drone over the next few days so that they're on the ground ready for some further soaking rain to help hopefully help position the seed in the landscape so that it kind of falls into cracks and nooks and crannies for a more optimal position for growth. So to release the seeds over the target area, I'm just going to use one of these general purpose workhorse drones that I've put together. I'll do a video describing the design of these one day. So this drone has a servo motor release mechanism. So I'll be able to use that as the actual either pre-programmed or remote controlled mechanism for dropping the seed. And so what I'm planning is a fairly simple release container based off a old metal biscuit tin I happen to have handy, and I've just pushed in the retaining clips on that so that it swings open freely. So I'll fill that up with seed, use an elastic band through to that servo mechanism to secure the lid, and then at the appropriate time the servo mechanism will withdraw and release the lid and the seeds. And we'll just do one further test of the payload release mechanism. This time while we're actually airborne, just to make sure that, just to further verify that nothing is going to go wrong. And payload release. Juggling ball successfully deployed. So I've just had a fan running to dry the seeds out now that they've had some time to soak. Obviously we're not trying to dry them out completely, however we want to dry them out enough that they don't all just clump together when we drop them from the drone. We want the seeds to scatter widely on their way down. So I'm just giving them a little bit of a superficial dry out, and then we're pretty much ready to go. I'm quite happy with the way that the seeds turned out. They're still quite moist, but they flow freely, given that I dried them out a little. We'll be relying on the prop wash, as well as whatever wind there is, and the altitude to help to disperse the seeds over the target area. In Australia, the maximum flying altitude for a drone is 120 metres. So I will set up waypoint missions at about 110 metres above the ground level, but then I'll manually release the seeds once I've verified that there's nothing in the target area that it would be a danger to. Probably not the falling wattle seeds as much of a danger. I'll probably release the full set of the seeds over 4 or 5 separate locations within the target area, spacing them by sort of 30 or 50 metres or thereabouts. So that means that out of the total seeds, then we'll kind of load a few handfuls for each mission into the release container, and then we fly the mission. I'm just using a little bit of remove before flight tape just to keep the box closed up until I can put the drone in its right orientation and secure the servo pin. Much of this land was plantation forestry until it was destroyed and denuded by a large fire. So what we've done is really just a drop in the ocean. I think in terms of the technical delivery of the seeds with the drone, I think that's all gone fine. But of course the proof is in the pudding in terms of what strike rate will we actually get in practice. Now we had a big storm yesterday that brought some rain, and there's a further 50 millimetres or so forecast for the next few days. And as I mentioned, we are currently in La Nina conditions. That said, it's currently early January, so it's approaching the hottest time of the year. So it's not really the best time of year to be direct seeding. In any case, it's been a fun experiment. I've always been keen to try revegetation using drones. So I guess we check again in a couple of years to see how different the landscape might look in that area.